Hello, hello. Welcome back. This is video 5 in my new series where I am talking about some of the biggest lessons I have learned about spirituality and healing and all of the things in the last few years. My name is Shannon. If you are new here, I am a shamanic practitioner. I work specifically with the womb and with star shamanic work. So I connect you into your womb, I connect you up into the stars and into the cosmic wisdom that is available for us all around the universe, within the universe, within the stars. There's so much there for us to learn. And I am also an expert in healing and healing the body. I have a background of having deep chronic illness, Lyme disease, and healing myself from it completely using spiritual and energetic methods. And I now share that with my clients who come to me for body healing. So in today's video, I want to talk about the connection, reclaiming the connection to God. Wow, I don't think I've ever talked about this quite so publicly. I grew up Catholic. I grew up very, very Catholic for the first 8 years of my life, and went to Catholic school, whole 9 yards. And then when I was 8, my family moved to southern India for my father's job. And we'd been there for about a month, I'd say. And this is one of my clearest memories of my entire life. And I had gone from being really only aware that Catholicism existed. I mean, my whole life was Catholicism. My parents are very Catholic. My dad's family still is very, very Catholic. I went to Catholic school. I went to mass twice a week. I wouldn't say that I necessarily had a huge, deep connection to it. I was a young child. It was more like what I was supposed to be doing. But I really only knew about Catholicism. And I kind of had a vague idea that there were other forms of Christianity, but I'd really only heard that they were wrong, honestly, from a Catholic school perspective. And that's all I really knew. And then we moved to India, and all of a sudden I am surrounded by and start learning about Hinduism and Sikhism and Jainism and Buddhism and Islam and like all these other religions. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much more than just Catholicism. And so we've been there about a month. And I remember we were in the car driving down just a city street, and I was looking out the window, and I think I must have seen like a Hindu temple. That part isn't as clear in my memory, but I was just looking at all the people, and in India, Hinduism is the biggest religion, and cows are really sacred in Hinduism, and so cows wander the streets, and obviously that was a culture shock. I spent the first 8 years of my life in the Midwest of the US, so wildly different. And but it was really interesting. I was like looking out at the street. I believe there was a temple that we passed, and there are cows on the street, and all these people, and they're like bright colored clothing. And I had this epiphany, and this remains to this day one of the biggest epiphanies of my life. And I turned to my mom. I mean, because it changed my life. It changed my life from a very young age on. And I turned to my mom and I said, "It's all the same God, isn't it?" And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, we're Catholic, and we pray to God, but all the other people, they have all these other religions. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure I didn't speak this eloquently as an 8 year old, but this is the gist of what I said. They have all these other religions, and they all are praying to a god or two gods, to multiple gods, like Hinduism has many gods. And we're all just praying to the same God. We just have different names for him, like different a different name or multiple names, but it's all the same God. It's all the same energy." And I honestly don't remember what my mom said to me at the time. I don't remember if she was like, "Yeah, you're right," or if she was like, "Okay," or if she was like, "No, remember our Catholic doctrine, I don't remember, because it wasn't important, because it didn't matter what she said, because that immediately became my new viewpoint. It's all the same God. It's all the same energy. We are all praying to the same energy. Just some of us give it one name, some of us give it many names. Some of us see God as a man or woman in the sky, or as the trees and the sun and the stars, but it's all the same thing. And that belief has continued throughout my life. And when I discovered first my connection to the stars, which was life-changing, when I discovered my connection to the stars and started talking to the stars and realizing my connection as a star being and how much I could channel and learn from the stars, that just blew open again my understanding that God is everything. And then when I started my shamanic studies several years ago, shamanism is based on the concept of animism, which is that everything in the universe, everything we see, has a soul. We can talk to a tree or to a rose just like we can talk to a human. We can talk to a fox or an elephant just like we can talk to a human. We all have consciousness and souls. And when I started that study, I mean, I already believed that, but then when I went deeper into actually like embodying and learning shamanic work, it just brought me deeper into the concept, the energy that God is everything. But within all of that, for years, I never really used the word God, because I walked away from the Catholic Church in full when I was in high school. I really disconnected from it at that moment at the age of 8. And it helped because for the next several years when we lived in India, we didn't really go to church that much. And so I was really lucky in my deconditioning process that I didn't actually go to church for very long after the age of 8. And then we moved back to New Hampshire when I was almost 13, and did start going to having to go to church. And my parents would take me to church again for a few years there, but it was kind of sporadic. And I'd already like deconditioned myself from that realization at age of 8, where I was like, I don't believe in this anymore. Like, I don't believe in one religion. I don't believe in these specific doctrines of Catholicism or Christianity. I believe in Jesus, but I don't believe in him in the way that I'm taught in church. I don't resonate. I would get like, I'd feel like sick every time I had to go into a mass. Like, it was once I became old enough, I think 17 or so, where I was able to really be like, no, I'm not going. I refused confirmation. That was what flipped the switch. I was like, I will stand in front of a bishop and lie, but I don't believe this. And I said that to my parents and to the church like leaders, and they were like, you shouldn't do this. And that was when I really like walked away. But that was a lot of years of my life where I was in and out of Catholicism and in and out of a very specific belief around God. And so I stopped using the word God for a long, long time. Like, I had an understanding where I would just keep to myself of God is everything. But it wasn't until the last couple of years that I started using God again for myself. And I haven't really used it much. Or maybe at all publicly, but I have started to come back into the energy of prayer, coming back into the energy of calling upon God. And I don't think of God as, again, obviously, I think about at this point you can gather, I don't think of God as like a man in the sky. And I use goddess just as much, but I use the word God because specifically it does have an old connotation to it. So part of using the word God is specifically to remove the old connotation of what that means in my brain and in my body. So I've started calling upon God again, and I pray. I go to bed at night and I pray for God's help. I don't know how I'm going to move forward with something, and I pray for God's help. I a few weeks ago had a really emotionally charged situation. I was like, I know how I'm gonna get through this. And I prayed, God, please show me what I need to see. Please show me what I need to bring me out of this so that I can move to the other side, so that I can fix or mend what needs to be mended here. And I immediately got a download, and I got an answer. I went in, it was a book I have, and I went and read the book. And then something else came up maybe a day later or a few hours later, I can't even remember. And I said, God, okay, what else do I need to know? Like, I clearly haven't gotten everything. And another book came in, a book that's been sitting on my shelf for a couple of years, maybe more like a year, that I hadn't picked up yet. And I picked it up and I read it and I was like, this is the answer I was looking for. Thank you, God. And so, coming back into the energy of prayer, connection to the divine, and knowing that the divine is out there listening to us, and that there is something for the divine, like for us in the divine, something that the divine has for us, something that we can give back, our attention, our prayer, our energy, and we receive what we need to. It really helps with the remembrance that we are always taken care of, connecting into the divine, um, praying to God, praying to the universe, praying to the trees, praying to the stars. But it's a different energy to pray specifically to God, to pray to creator energy. And like I said, I go back and forth between God and then, I work with the womb. So I fully believe in and have seen and connect with a great cosmic womb, a great cosmic mother. So praying to the Father and praying to the Mother. And I pray to the Father energy, the God energy, to help heal my relationship with the masculine, to bring in safety, and connection to the masculine, to God, to this energy that had so much stigma and dogma around it for me for so long, because I was raised in a religion that doesn't really connect into the truth. And I think that's true of all religions. I'm very anti-religion. I'm very pro spirit, pro God, but I am anti-organized religion. I don't think it's helpful for us. Uh, I think we can connect back a lot of the problems in the world to organized religion. And it connects us back into the tribe mind of humans that we are, hopefully someday going to evolve out of. But that's a whole other topic. I don't need to go into that in this video. But reclaiming the energy of praying to God, without any of the connection to religion, because there's no connection to religion to me. I do not think of God as Christ. I do not think of God as any of the gods of any other religion I've ever studied or looked at, because I've done a fair amount of research into other things, and I grew up part of my childhood in a country with a lot of other religions and names for gods, and I don't connect into any of that energy. When I'm connecting into God and praying, I'm connecting into literally the creator energy, the universe that created me and created you and created everything we're seeing, and the universe that has a divine plan for each of us. Because I do believe we have free will, but I also believe that there's a divine plan that we cannot see, and that if we can surrender into it and just be like, God, work through me, and I will do my best to step back and let myself surrender and let you do your work, we will see beautiful things happen for us. And I've seen it for myself. And so I wanted to share this as an invitation to reclaim God for yourself, especially if you feel really uncomfortable with it, if you feel like, if you grew up in religious spaces as well. And I know a lot of people grow up, have a lot more religious imprinting than I did. I was very lucky. Honestly, I think sometimes about if my childhood had not ended up with me living in India for several years and having that light bulb moment at 8 that really just took me out of the doctrine of organized religion, right immediately, because it really was just one of those moments where everything deconstruction, and I was so young, my brain was super malleable and open to it. I think often, what would my life have been if we never moved, if that opportunity had never been presented to my dad? And I think I would have still ended up where I am now, but it would have been a lot harder of a process to move out of those old beliefs, because they would have gotten a lot more ingrained in me. I don't think I would have had the cultural expansion that allowed me to make my own opinions at such a young age so soon. So I'm really grateful for that. And I just want to, share this as a message that you can be spiritual and you can reclaim the energy of calling and God and praying to God, free of religious anything, for yourself, using it as a spiritual practice, because it is a spiritual practice. When I pray, it's very different than when I journey or than when I connected and channeled from the Akashic records. Praying is a completely different energy. And it serves a very beautiful purpose of surrender, as opposed to like when I pray, I'm not really receiving. I'm giving. I'm giving a prayer. When I journey or I channel, I'm receiving something. So it's a very different energy, and it's a very valid, I think, important energy to connect into. So I hope this is helpful. I'm just sending you lots of love from my heart to yours, um, and thank you for just joining me on this video journey. I, as always, would love to hear anything you have to share after listening to this, anything that resonated or didn't. Um, I think it's important to, be open and talk about what we connect with and what we don't. So I would love to hear anything, any of your opinions after this. And thank you again for joining me. I will see you in the next video. Sending you lots of blessings.